Okay, this is the Ogre from MattOgre.com, WeTheArmed.com, and I was on Armed American Radio and we were talking about Glock trigger modifications. And here is my Model 23 RTF2. Now I'm going to put this camera down a little bit, strip this gun, and I'm going to show you something here. Okay, you can see down in there, right down in there, that little brown, there's usually a spring right in here. And instead of that, you can see that little tannish brown color in there. And what's living down there, where that spring used to be, right here, underneath that, that is the New York 1 trigger module, the NY1. And what that does is that gives a stronger trigger pull, a little heavier pull, and it gives you a firmer reset. And what we were talking about, the modification with the 3.5 pound disconnect, which lowers your trigger pull weight and makes for a very nice crisp trigger pull. The downside to that, though, is that it's too light for everyday carry alone, hence the New York 1 trigger pull, which probably puts the trigger weight anywhere from 6 to 8 pounds. I'm not sure what it is. I don't have a trigger pull gauge here at Ogre Ranch to test that out, but it does make a heavier pull instead of having the too light of a pull. Now stock is the stock pull is 5.5 pounds, which is just fine, very usable. Now going down to 3.5 pounds, it makes for a very light, crisp pull, but it's a little bit too light for, I think, everyday carry by itself. I don't recommend that. If you've got a dedicated gun for competition, for IDPA, for 3-gun, for IPSC, GSSF, what have you, I'm sure that would be just fine. But for a defensive carry gun, I can't recommend that. Now the New York 1 trigger pull, it's going to raise that trigger pull up above the 5.5 factory, which I think is good for a carry gun, especially if you're nervous about Glocks and having that trigger. The safe action trigger, if that kind of makes you a little nervous, throw in that New York 1 trigger. Go ahead and do that. And you know, the result is you've got a much more deliberate pull. You're not going to accidentally let that thing go off. It's not going to do that. You've got to fight that trigger weight, and you know, you're not going to fire unintentionally. You will know that you're going to fire the gun. The firmer reset could be advantageous for a competitor if you're used to rocking that reset, and that's all fine and well. But you know, you can go either way, with it or without it. After putting these parts in and testing it out, here's my conclusion. It's unnecessary. The 5.5 pound pull is just fine. It's a very good trigger pull. You get used to it with a little bit of shooting. It wears in very nice and it becomes a very good usable trigger pull. You don't need to modify it. You can if you want to, and it's easy to do, and go ahead and try just to check it out yourself if you want to, but you don't need to do it. The Glock is very simply works just fine, sans modification. So am I going to change it back? I think I might, but I don't need to. It's fine. But you don't need to modify your Glock to make it any better. What you need to do is you need to shoot it a lot to get used to it, to learn it, and then you need a good holster for it. And that's what we talked about on the radio show. And that's my recommendation. Another recommendation is change these sights. I haven't done that yet, but these are the factory plastic sights that come from Glock. I haven't changed it out on this. I'm gonna get some worn tacticals eventually, and that's probably a good modification. Well, actually, that's not probably. That is the only modification that you need to do to your Glock, is to get rid of these sights and put on some real sights. As far as the trigger work, the mechanisms, you don't need to do that. So, anyway, that's my thoughts on the matter. Peace.